Alright, hopefully. Does it say I'm live? Yes, it does. Okay, says I'm live.
I'll just keep refreshing until I see it.
There we go. Yep, we're live.
We are live.
Alrighty,
Hello.
so welcome to
Good
Monaco.
morning. Good evening. Good day, 7:10, wherever your time is in the world. This is the Monaco Grand Prix, one of the most enjoyable tracks to watch of the season. However, for the drivers, it is probably one of the most frustrating street circuits to drive alongside Baku, as we saw from last weekend's antics. It can be a bit of fun, would you say, Dylan?
It'll be a very interesting race to see how this goes down. Streets of Monaco are known for being tight, twisty, and very unforgiving. The walls are right at the track edge, so we'll have to see who can make it to the end without making any mistakes. Odds are that'll be the best person to finish.
Agreed. So we got a few drivers that did not want to participate in today's race, so we will have a grid at this stage of 15 drivers, which is not entirely surprising. I know personally I never enjoyed Monaco out of all the tracks. It's one of my favourite tracks to watch. However, participating, nah, not my cup of tea, as I would say. But the drivers now will go out for their out laps. However, Dylan, you would agree that qualifying in Monaco is probably more difficult than the actual race itself, due to the fact that everybody is going to be out all at once, and trying to set that fastest lap with the traffic can become incredibly difficult.
Yeah, track space is going to be very, very crucial through this qualifying session. 15 cars. Again, it's not a full grid, but it's still not going to leave much room for people to have a clean lap and get some clean air.
Snippet Pig, a very big loss today as well, who has on vacation, I believe. Who would take vacation on a race weekend? Terrible timing. Credits to Snippet Pig. He had a good race last weekend, but he won't be attending, which is a very big miss for the grid today, because that means it's going to be a very big chance for races like Breezy, Racer X, and Honos, Dylan.
Oh, and Breezy has a mistake in the chicane. He tagged the left rear on the entrance on the wall and gets it going, but
that's going to affect his first lap, and that first lap, I would say, is the most crucial of them all when you're getting timing, because that's ideally when the track is the most open, because drivers are still deciding to stay in the pit. So now Brees is going to have to try and set a fastest time, as it looks like he's going into the back of the pits. Set a fastest time for while everybody else is out on the track.
So we'll cycle through, see what people are, as Deathwitch just had a quick little moment at the chicane, so he has continued. It looks like the car doesn't have any damage, but we'll have to see how that pans out, as Cone just started another flyer. We'll see what he can do.
It looks as if the drivers are starting to set their laps, so at this current stage of qualifying, we have Honos, which is unsurprising, leading the grid. He's got a 1:10.9, followed by Racer with a 12.3, and then Dilsack with a 12.4. And as you see, the rest of the grid has similar times with the 12s and the 13s. However, Deathwish set a 25, but obviously there would have been issues on his lap time, as we've only got 13 minutes now on the clock.
As there's a yellow flag in between Sector 1 and 2 that has been cleared up. It'll be very interesting to see what happens throughout this qualifying session, as Honos has quite a large gap, as second through fifth place is very tight together within 0.6. So
And there's still races like Imperial and Cone Dodger that seems to not yet gone out for their first lap. We do have others like Sinister Owl and Pecan that seem to be going and getting their times validated, as it looks as if Pecan's about to cross the line. Let's see what he can set. He goes in the leaderboard. He sets a 110.06, so he gets about 800ths of a second on Honos. We remember last year as well with Pecan and Sinister where there was incidences, especially from Sinister. Let's see if he can redeem himself, Dylan, because we all remember he took the pole position last year, and then unfortunately on that first turn that can get a lot of drivers. He was pushed straight into the wall, which ended his race. So from word of mouth around the grid, it is known that Sinister is looking for revenge.
Apologies, as I have not had time to eat before now, and I'm trying to do double duty.
That's all.
But Pecan goes to the top with a 110.066, pardon me. Flyer around here as he comes to complete another lap, and he heads into pit lane.
Then Deathwish improved on his previous lap. He's now set a 111.7. So he pushes himself up to P3 on the grid as we are approaching the 10-minute mark left in qualifying, as drivers go to the pits to reevaluate their strategies, reset their ERS modes. And such drivers with Breezy, Imperial and Owl, who are top to be fighting for the race, they're yet to set a time. But it seems as though Sinister looks like he's about to cross the line. Whether or not he's going to get a good time here, because it looks as if it is a bit of numbers on him, which he does. He had a 114, I believe, but he may have had an invalidated lap, because it has not gone onto the system.
I believe so, because it still shows him down in 13th, yet to set a time yet.
And he has done 2 laps. Cuddly Koala is on his out lap here, the fellow Aussie of mine. However, he's on a medium tyre compound on the C4, so interesting move, considering that you are losing at least a good solid second, 1.2 seconds when you're choosing the C4s.
One thing that is interesting is Racer has set his fastest lap on mediums as of now, so we'll see what else he can do when he comes back out.
As we have hit the 10-minute mark, so there's now less than 10 minutes of qualifying left, where most drivers will get a couple of laps left in if they choose. The track is pretty quiet. You've got probably just less than half.
Oh, and quick little incident at the chicane as Glenn Coco just saw the aftermath. It looked like he spun out the chicane and blocked Koala from getting another good lap, so that's an unfortunate break for Koala.
I believe the FIA stewards have handed Glencoe a 5-place grid penalty for that incident, as Glencoe and Cuddly head into the pits to reevaluate, but that's going to be an interesting restart for Glencoe in the race. He'll drop 5 places from wherever he finishes in Q1, 2 and 3. Now, something to keep an eye out on throughout the race and qualifying. You'll see a lot of yellow flags probably being waved, which from memory does not necessarily mean incidences have occurred. It's more so that drivers are trying to not get in the way of other drivers, and blue flags throughout the race which I have noticed that can trigger the yellows. So don't be alarmed if you do see yellows and that we have missed it. It is more so that is potentially drivers just allowing others to pass.
Yeah, I just saw that there on the mini-map, as it looked like the Imperial was just making sure that he didn't get too close to the cars ahead. He didn't have the best first sector, so he decided to slow up and create a gap to set himself up for another lap, and that resulted in a yellow flag.
Seems as though Kill the Birdman has had some technical issues as well, as he's dropped out of the server. Hopefully he can rejoin back into the Williams car before the end of qualifying, as he's yet to set a time. We've also got a newcomer to the league, Dreamsy. Filling in today, he's just set a 1:11.02, which pops him into P3. And while we're at it, we may as well look at the rest of the grid. So, as it stands with 7 minutes to go, Peacon is still in P1, holding that pole position with a 10.06, while Honos is up there on the front of the grid with 10.9, followed by Dreamsy, as we just said before. Deathwish is in P4 with an 11.7, Racer X, P5, 12.3, followed by Dilsack on the third row of the grid, 12.4, so only a hundredth of a second splitting Racer X and Dilsack in the third row. Drew Yu's got a 12.7 along with Impulse with a 12.9, and Cuddly the Koala with the last of the times with 13.7. All the other drivers yet to get a time on the grid, so they'll be pushing in these last 6 minutes, as you could probably get
Racer's on a fast one.
Solid laps.
He's coming into the last corner now. He just set the fastest second sector in this qualifying session. We'll see what he can do now that he's on softs instead of mediums, and he improves to fourth.
11.3 from Racer there, so he improves slightly to join the second row and leave Deathwish and Dilsack on the third row. Dylan, do you ever have a strategy that you use when you are racing in Monaco? Because I see a lot of drivers prefer not to start at the front of the grid, which I'm starting to think could there be that possibility with some of our experienced drivers that are yet to start times, that they actually prefer to start at the rear of the grid to avoid the possible carnage in that turn one.
Staying clean is going to be the key to winning this race. The more you have to pit for damage, or the more time you lose by clipping a wall and losing part of your wing, the more that's going to hurt you throughout the race. Even though it's very difficult to pass here at Monaco, if they can keep their nose clean, they will be able to pass everyone as they come into the pits for damage if there is any trouble coming into turn one.
Impulse looks as though he has set his first lap time at the 12.9. He'll probably slightly be annoyed with that, knowing Impulse. He'll be looking to try and improve that as he's going through to finish his sector 3, and as he goes to turn on the straight. I think he may get an extra half a second. As he does, proves to a P8 at this stage with 12.2. Glencoe into P5, however. The 5th place grid penalty may start him on 5th row as he set a 11.6. Three and a half minutes now is left. Still drivers such as Breezy Imperial, Al and Killer Birdman yet to start that lap time. However, Al, a favourite for the race, is on his out lap. He will probably only get 1, maybe 2 chances to set a lap time here, Dylan.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how this is played out with some of the top contenders waiting until the very last minute to try to head out on track. They're betting on finding more real estate later in the session, as people, for instance, like Pecan, has already done what he thinks he can do, as he's just now on an outlap, actually, but quite a few of the front runners currently are sitting in pit lane, which clears up some track space, but if they don't get that good run, then they're out of luck, as when the checkered flag falls, that's all the time you get.
Exactly. As we know, there is previews and season reviews done for the UDL here, so at the end of the qualifying session, I will go through Michael Gallagher's preview and review of the previous and upcoming race here as we approach the 2-minute mark left with qualifying as the grid starts to take shape, and it looks as though Breezy has just taken pole position with a 9.6. Very impressive. Sinister Owl, he is going through Sector 3 with relatively good times as he takes the straight. Let's see what Sinister can perform. P5 for Sinister, he sets a 10.6, so he's about 1 second off Breezy for pole position. So we'll probably have maybe 1 lap left to see if he can improve on that time.
Deathwish improves to 6th position, jumping ahead of Racer, who falls to 7th. But it's interesting to see only 2 out of the 15 cars are in the pit still. So it is very busy out there as everyone's searching for real estate now as they try to improve their lap times. As it looks like...
Seems though,
go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say, it seems as though the Imperial, who was in his home race of Monaco, is not going to get a lap because he's still in the pit and it's less than a minute, so he's not going to be able to complete a lap. So Imperial will start at the back of the grid. We have a first retirement. Could that have been an incident, Dylan? I was not watching Breezy, but Breezy has decided to retire from the session. It could also be that he decided not to interfere with other drivers. But Breezy confirms a 9.6 for the one to beat, as the drivers are now on their final lap to see if they can improve their time.
One thing that's interesting is Deathwish has been disqualified as he was parked at the entrance into the tunnel, I noticed. Not sure why that was, but maybe as weird as this sounds, that might be an intentional disqualifying. He might not be happy starting in that mid-pack where the fiasco could happen and wanted to start from the back.
Yes, I think that could be a possibility of what he was looking at. So he'll start from the back of the grid as opposed to Imperial, but qualifying is now finished. So drivers have 2 minutes remaining to complete their current lap that they are on. As we have most of our drivers got the checkered flag, but drivers such as Glencoe, Dilsack and Dreamsy will have their time to see if they can improve, as Glencoe unable to do better. So he'll be P7, however, he still has a 5-place grid penalty awaiting him as Dilsack crosses the line, and it looks as though that's going to be it for qualifying. So we will wait for the official results to come in of where everybody stands. So, on the front row we've got Breezy and Pecan, with Breezy taking out pole position with a blistering 9.6, followed by Dreamsy and Honos in the second row. Sinister and Racer X will complete the third row with Glencoe and Dilsack. However, Glencoe, remember, will have that 5-place grid penalty, which will bring him down to P11. So Dilsack and Drew Yu will complete 8 and 9 with Impulse to round out the top 10. And followed by the rest of the drivers below. Your thoughts, Dylan, on the upcoming race with that grid?
It's interesting to see that both of the McLarens are towards the front, as everyone set their fastest lap on softs, which I have yet to do a stream this season, but last season a couple drivers toughed it out on the mediums, and that's where they got their fastest laps from.
Yeah, it's good for McLaren, especially for the Constructors' Championships, as they will complete the second row behind the Alpha and the Haas. However, the Alpha are only 14 points behind, I believe, in terms of the Constructors' Championship, so Breezy leading the front of the pack will definitely help their case. As drivers will now quit this as we go back to the lobby to get the custom grid available. As I will find the document that has our race preview and I'll run through it shortly. We'll take a little break and we'll be back with you soon.
You still there, Dylan?
Yes. Yes, I am. Apologies if someone sent me a message. I have notifications off. So just waiting for the drivers' meeting to get underway as everyone is back in the lobby. And going through the final procedures before the race.
Yes, welcome back to the Monaco Grand Prix. Sorry for the extended break there. There seemed to be a couple of issues that they had in the drivers' meeting prior to the race that they wanted to get off their chest, as one would say, but the countdown is on as the session is approaching, and we'll be racing very shortly. Dylan, do you have any predictions of what you think is going to transpire in these first few laps?
See, I think the first lap will be clean, but as people try to work their way through the field, I feel like impatience is going to be the biggest struggle today. Just not throwing it in a high-risk move. As drivers get stuck behind other drivers, they become more and more impatient, and they'll start going for low percentage lunges, and it'll end up in quite a few tears shed, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think so too. I think
ZZ.
Breezy leading the pack is a good strategy to go for him in terms of being at the front of the grid, because ideally, if you're anywhere between P2 and lower, it's going to be very difficult to see how you can get some overtakes, and you're going to kind of be anticipating that there's going to be an incident. So it's either P1 or back of the grid, the way some drivers go about their race strategies. Race strategies will be interesting as well to see what tyres the remaining 5 drivers at the back of the grid will go with, as obviously the first 10 drivers will have to start on begin. So 19 straight laps.
Let the shit
The
show
race will encounter,
commence.
which is always fun when we see the number of laps increased closer to the 40s. Safety car is probably almost guaranteed to happen, would you say, Dylan?
I would be more surprised if a safety car didn't happen than if it did.
Yes, I agree. I think especially with the way Baku went last weekend in
Fine.
Azerbaijan, I would say the likelihood of a safety car is 99 to 100, but
I
I've been proven wrong
predict
before,
3 safety
and I'll probably
cars
will be
on the
proven wrong again in the
first
future.
lap.
So we'll have to wait and see, I suppose. Strategies will be the name of the game. It's passing here in Monaco in these cars is almost non-existent, as Michael Gallagher would say in his race review. But remember, Greco won the race last year. However, with his penalty, he will be starting towards the end of the grid.
Bear with me, as the stream might have just crashed.
Oh no!
Just double checking. As yes, it did.
Look, no.
Is it? Okay. Yeah,
Difficulties,
sorry.
everybody. We are
My
still
Wi-Fi
live.
is playing a little bit of silly buggers, as I just got a
That's all.
notification that
It
the
still live,
internet
Dylan.
is got a notification saying the internet is not strong enough to live stream. So apologies if
That's
quality
all good.
drops throughout the stream, as the pace lap is underway.
And it looks as though Kadiri Klawala has left the session due to probably technical issues. Hopefully we get to see him back in the race, because having an AI driver in this race will prove incredibly difficult, as we know from the past. So, like I said, 39 laps will be the way this race runs. The drivers now looking to warm up their tyres, as Pecan is leading the formation lap due to Breezy probably having an issue that has pulled him back to the grid, so Pecan will lead the formation lap. Who would you tip, Dylan, as your winner?
I don't know. It's being unfamiliar with how the season played out. I have to go with either Breezy or Pecan. I think that launch on the front row is going to let them run into clear air and sail off into the sunset as Carnage may follow behind.
Yes,
Pole
I think
position
if
has a
Pecan can
group
get the jump
track
here, he might be
record
able
here.
to see the race out, but Honos is from the second row, can also do something similar, but if I had a prediction, I'm probably going to go Pecan, Honos and Owl for the podium towards the end. The lights are starting to flash. Drivers revving their engines. We are racing in Monaco as Pecan looking to get the jump on Breezy, but Breezy does stay out. Turn 1, we so far have no casualties as such. A few drivers that did tip, but we still have all 15 running the race. It looks as though Honos has dropped down to P5 with Sinister and Dreamsy moving up into P4 and 3.
Yeah, it looks
As we
like
go
Impulse
into the end.
ran wide in turn 1 a little bit. It doesn't look like he got damaged, though, as the field stacks up heading into the hairpin the first time.
Roger, so we now going into the tunnel. No dramas as of yet, which is good to see. Unlike last year where we had lap 1 incident as Breezy takes it from the front of the pack down the end of the tunnel. Something new that we've got this year too is speed traps that we see the most recent update has done. As the drivers making their way through, as I will bring up the position change to see if there's any significant drops. Cone Dodger moved up 3 grid spots. He's now sitting in P8 as Breezy, Pecan and Dreamsy taking it over for the first lap to be completed as he sets a 16.02. With a couple of drivers looking as though they have entered the pits, such as Racer X and Deathwitch Tricky. So possible contact on that first lap. No wing changes for either, which says that they were going for a tyre change as Racer X goes to another set of soft tyres as Deathwish rocks on with the medium set.
Battles all the way through the grid as there's a close battle for the lead between Breezy and Pecan, but also a bit of a queue starting behind Drew U24 as 6th through 10th and 11th isn't that far behind that group either. So 6th through 11th very close together as they head down into the chicane.
Death Wish got a 9 drop, so he's all at the rear end of the races. So it's going to be tough to see how he can pull off a positional points finish, along with Racer X as well. Got flags waving in Sector 3.
It was something with Ono's, but it looks like he's continuing still. So, might have just been he got a wonky line through the penultimate corner and had to slow down, which triggered the yellow flag.
Pecan and Breezy really fighting it out here. Pecan is attacking Breezy with all of his might as they do start to get a bit of a gap to the rest of the field, whereas you can see that Sinister in P4 is as close as he can get to the top 4, but then Honos with a 6-second difference. So the race field starting to liven up as Pecan will look to see if he can get a jump on Breezy on this lap, as I am pretty sure it is lap 3 where the DRS is activated. The Birdman coming out of the pits there too, so he must have had a pit for either new set of tyres or wing damage.
As we head onto the end of the third lap, beginning of the fourth, Pecan is using DRS. As you can see, the back wing have the slot open. as they head through turn 1, and Breezy looks like he ran a little bit wider than he wanted on the exit, as Pecan has a great run heading up to the top of the hill.
It looked as though there was almost a touch of contact from Pecan there onto Breezy on his rear end. So very, very aggressive start.
It was very close if they did not touch, but these are some of the best drivers at the league, running at the front of the field, showing what they can do.
Pecan literally smelling the smoke of Breezy, practically, as he can see if he can try and get on the inside. He goes to the outside as Breezy defends his inside corner. But don't forget, we do have Dreamsy only half a second behind, following with Sinister, so this top 4 is really, really pushing each other.
Yeah, this battling, the front 2 battling are allowing Dreamy and Sinister, who are staying nice and neat together, trying to catch Pecan, and they are. It's definitely a 4-car battle for the lead now, so we'll see what they can do, if they can move around Pecan, or whether they wait to try to pick up the pieces if anything were to happen.
Can Pecan get on the inside of Breezy? No, Breezy does defend his position. Throughout the rest of the grid, nothing too much of a change as Impulse goes into the pits to chuck on the hard compound tyres. He'll ride out the C4s all the way to the rest of the race. Whether or not he can get 34 laps out of it will be a question, but a strategy that Impulse is willing to take the risk of.
One thing that we're already going to see in a couple laps is traffic, as Kill the Bird is a minute behind the leader, so another 15 or 20 seconds up the track from them, and we'll start lapping cars already, as we're just now coming to the end of lap 5, as cars with damage have to pit, and as Deathwish is back in the pits, actually, speaking of pitting.
Deathwish not getting the right strategies here as he goes for his second pit, as he comes back out on the mediums with the C3 compound. Now, this is where the traffic comes into it, Dylan, because Breezy is approaching the rear of the field, so this is going to be interesting to see if there's any effect here from Deathwish on these top 4 races here, because that top 4 is still neck and neck the whole entire way.
Yeah, Pecan sold a dummy heading into the first hairpin as they head through the hairpin, as it looked like Sinister was trying to just make Dreamsy look in his mirrors, remind Dreamsy that he's there and he's looking for a podium.
A slight gap is building. However, like I said, the drivers are starting to really approach Deathwish, and their pace is obviously going to be a bit faster, so it's going to be interesting to see when Deathwish will get given the blue flag to let them past.
As we have also a dandy of a battle for 7th place between Cone Dodger and Dillsack, as Dillsack got a good run heading into the tunnel, but it looks like Cone just has a little bit more power to pull him through the middle of the tunnel as he clears it before the exit of the tunnel.
Deathwish was given the blue flag at the start of the straight there, so he has let the 4 drivers pass. Monos going into the pits now on lap 7, so I would assume he would either take on the hard compound C4 or the C3 medium. It looks as though he's gone for a hard compound for Honos, the winner of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix last weekend. Racer X also going into the pits again, so he will be slipping on the C3s, mediums. Going to be interesting, Dylan, to see which of these first 4 drivers the race leaders will decide to pit and how much life they can get out of these C2s.
That could very well determine who wins this race. Oh, Pecan hits the wall. Heading into the pool section, he loses part of his front wing as he just overcooked the corner heading into the final area of the circuit, as we'll see if he pits for damage or not. And he does.
He does. So, that answers the question that I literally just asked prior to Pecan going into the wall. It seems like Pecan will also be replacing his front wing, which will add more time to his race. So that's going to put a big damper on Peacon's hopes of taking out the race.
As Pecan put on the mediums, he'll try to stick with the mediums for 30 laps. That's a tall order for those tires, as Cone Dodger pits from 6th position as he was in a battle with Dilsack and Koala. Not sure if Koala was able to rejoin, so that might be an AI. Although with how high it's running, it could very well be Koala, as Koala is in his first league race with F1.
Seems as though Breezy is still taking the lead.
Crash heading up the hill into the into the second sector at the end of Sector 1. As Space Hero and Honos were side by side coming out of Turn 1. I just barely caught that in time. And as the track weaved left and right, it just squeezed each other, and Space Hero sadly got the worst of that, although Honos may have aero damage as well, but Space Hero might... looks like he'll have to pit to fix his damage, as it's very unfortunate.
Seems as though Space Hero is missing his wing. Part of his wing, sorry, not the whole wing. But very difficult for Honos as well, but it looks like as Sinister and Breezy have gone into the pits, so they have pitted.
And Sinister came out ahead of Pecan, so that wing damage, the time that it took to replace that wing in pit lane, will definitely hurt Pecan, as Dreamsy is your new leader due to pit cycles.
Yep, so Dreamsy yet to pit. He's getting 8 laps out of him so far. Breezy, Sinister and Pecan have decided to go with the C3's medium compound. So you would assume that there will be another stop in place for those drivers, as a one-stop strategy would be incredibly difficult to pull off. Has been done, but it would be incredibly difficult. You would assume a 2-stop strategy is what all drivers will be anticipating.
Taking a closer look at Space Hero's wing, even though he went for a full spin heading up the hill, I'm not sure it has that much damage because he spayed out. The debris I saw might have come from Honos because he just pitted and got a wing change. So even though Space Hero lost more time on track, he might have lucked out without having to pit for damage.
Interesting. He hasn't pitted yet, he has pitted. It was very early on, so he's only 8 laps old on the current compound of the mediums that he has, so he may possibly be waiting for his next pit stop as per his strategy to decide whether he wants to replace his wing. But like you said, on further investigation of his front wing, it looks as though it might actually be intact as he decides to stay out and race.
And it's difficult to tell with these Haas's as their wing makes it. The wing is actually not the most incredibly easy to distinguish. Yeah.
So a bit of a gap now from P1 to P2. Dreamsy's still staying out on his soft compound, trying to see if he can extend his lead to keep his positional at the forefront, as Breezy and Sinister are following behind him P2 and 3.
Dreamsy is the last person to not pit, as the rest of the field has pitted, and everyone in the top 10 except for Impulse down in 8th has mediums on who has pitted. So looks like the mediums are the most popular choice of tires. As the battle seems to be for 8th. Go ahead.
Lap 11 of 39, we have Dreamsy and Breezy leading the packs, as Dreamsy is currently in P1. Sinister and Pecan P3 and 4, Drew U in the Imperial P5 and 6. Racer X and Dilsack are 7 and 8. Cone Dodger and Impulse wrap up the front 10. Cuddly Koala, Space Hero, Birdman, Honos, and Deathwish at the rear of the field. And surprisingly,
Dreamsy's in.
Dreamsy has now pitted. Surprising, I was going to say, no safety car yet.
No.
No incidents.
Just couple, again, what might have happened between Space Hero and Onos, I don't know, as I just switched that battle as the incident happened. Onos might have been stuck behind Space Hero and just saw a low-risk move, high-risk move, low percentage lunge, and as they went side by side up the hill, and just didn't quite leave each other enough room, but no safety car needed for that incident, as all the other incidents have just been single car bumps into the wall, as we've gone through quite a few nose chains already, as we're 12 laps in to the 39 laps.
Imperial decides to take it into the pit, so he has had enough of the medium compound that he had. He's going to chuck on the C4s now. Breezy leading the pack, as Dreamsy, when he went for his pit, has come back out in P4. Flags being waved in Sector 2. Possible incident, been cleared by the stewards, so racing on.
I think that might have just been Death Wish letting some faster cars go by as he's getting lapped and getting quite a few blues.
Going to be difficult for Death Wish to continue to want to race. I know some drivers, they do halfway through the race when they realise there is no possibility. Ooh, hang on. Is that a penalty just been given to Space Hero for a severe collision with Monos? Interesting. 5-second penalty given to Space Hero there.
As that was what the yellow flag was for. Again, it doesn't look like he has damage, but he was stopped at the top of the hill I saw on the minimap for what seemed like quite a bit, as he's now right in front of the leaders, so maybe a little bit of agitation between Hero and Honos as a result of that first incident, as Space Hero is now being passed by Sinister in second place.
We're starting to get to that point of the race where traffic is going to become another battle of the top drivers, with Breezy still sitting in the P1, along with Sinister and Peacon to wrap out the podiums at this stage. Blue flags being waved everywhere, as I just said. It's going to be a very difficult challenge.
Yet again, Honos is in the pits to get another wing change, and Space Hero does not pit. So, wonder if they went side by side up the hill again and ended in the same result, unfortunately. So, sadly, neither of us.
Interesting for Honos. He's had 3 pit stops now, so he's going to be all the way at the back of the grid. But he doesn't have that many tyre options left. So, if he's chucked on either a used set or a new set, just see if I can find it. No, it is a brand new set of the C3s with the medium compounds, so it's not giving him much option to see if he can get something out of this race. Can prove me wrong, but I think we can say at this stage that Honos may not be able to back up what he did last weekend at Baku.
Which, one thing of note, it says here Space Hero has yet to pit. So, even though he's been involved in a couple incidents, it does not look like he's pitted yet. Although he has just fallen down to 14th, so that might change.
Looks like Deathwish got the advantage there on Space, and you'd think by now he'd be looking to pit, which he does.
Dreamsy just set the fastest lap of the race, down in 4th place, as he's working to catch Pecan sitting in 3rd as they work their way through yet more lap traffic.
So it looks as though Space has chucked on the C4 compound, the hard tyres, so trying to see how far he can get as he completes his first stop, and potentially might be able to chuck on the C2 soft compound at the end of the race to see if he can get an extra point for the fastest lap as Space Hero comes out. But if anything, Dylan, it's been a pretty clean race, and not a lot has been really happening. Compared to last weekend, it's been fairly smooth running and smooth sailing.
It has, as the only incidents have really just been minor, nothing too serious, as it looks like Impulse got past the Imperial, as Imperial had to yield to the blue flags heading into Rascasse for the now very close battle between Dreamsy and Pecan, as Dreamsy is right behind Pecan.
Have a race on our hands, we do. As the closest battle from all the field, really, from the front of the grid, ideally, is Pecan and Dreamsy, as Sinister is still a 2-second disadvantage to Breezy at the front, while Pecan is still 5 seconds behind the leader, so it'll be interesting to see if Dreamsy can pull anything off on Pecan here. Pecan having that incident where he clipped the wall and had to replace his wing, which took out a lot of his time, and at the end of the race he'll probably be very disappointed with himself.
Yeah, it looked like he had a very, very solid chance at a win going against Breezy, but right now he's having to push hard to fend off Dreamsy, as looks like Dreamsy has the better handling car, but struggles to keep pace. Oh, as they touch, heading into the top of the hill.
Was there it looked like there was a touch, didn't it?
As yes, he's missing part of his left front wing. So Dreamsy going for one of those low percentage lunges that I was talking about at the top of the hill, and it has cost him quite a bit, as his left front wing is missing its end plates. So
And
that will definitely
in
hurt
Monaco,
him.
aerodynamics is a very vital part, so it can really, really affect the way your race pans out when you don't have a full strength wing. So it should be interesting to see whether Dreamsy decides to continue on battling, or whether he wants to take the safe option and pit for a new wing.
It is 24 seconds back to 5th place, so he's got time. He would probably lose his 4th position, but he wouldn't come out that far behind 5th and 6th. So if he doesn't think he has a chance with Pecan, he'll pit, but he stays out, so looks like he might try to tough it out for the rest of this race, but that's a tall order with coming on 20 laps to go.
It would be, as the front three are approaching that 10 lap mark on their tyre compound, as we are now halfway through the race with lap 18, so we have 18, my mistake, 18 laps, just short of the halfway mark. But yes, the tyre strategy is going to start taking more of an effect, whether the drivers are deciding to stay out a bit longer on the medium compounds, or switch up and put on a new set of slicks, whether it be the hard compound to finish the race or the medium compound. Racer X getting a lot of life out of his current setting on 11 laps.
Indeed. So, quite a few of these drivers are getting on to the 10 lap mark with their tires, as most of the field pitted with about 8 laps into the race.
Seems as though Sinister Owl is slightly improving on his time to Breezy. He's now only 1-4 off of Breezy, as he's trying to attack to see if he can take off that P1. And Pecan is slowly starting to drag out further and further, as he's now 6 seconds behind Sinister. So Pecan's still within a chance, but he's going to be really reeling from that incident earlier on that could potentially take him from the race winner.
One thing of note is, as we're approaching the halfway point of this race, we already have up to 10th place 1 lap down, and Koala in 9th is about to go a lap down, as he's only about 5 to 10 seconds ahead of Breezy in the lead. So traffic, again, one of the key things in this race. You need to get through it cleanly.
Dreamsy will be within DRS detection of Pecan. Don't know if he's going to be able to overtake him, but he will be able to close the gap coming up on the straight after that first turn, which you see a lot of drivers with the momentum. He looks to close the gap. Now only within under 300ths of a second of Pecan, so battle there for that last podium spot as we're now into the latter half of the race as we make our way over the hump and we're on the down straight.
It seems like Dreamsy can keep with Pecan even with that wing damage, but it just seems like he's fast enough to stay there, but not fast enough to pass like he was before. So one can only wonder how far ahead he could be right now, whether he could be pressing on Sinister or even Breezy for the lead if he didn't have that
Pecan
contact.
here because Base Hero is in front of him and it looks as though he is an AI driver, so that's now, as Pecan does get the move on him, but for Dreamsy, he's really being held up.
Yeah, unfortunate for Dreamsy there.
2 seconds, so he's actually going to be outside of the DRS. Oh, no, he did. I did hear the beep. Still got DRS, but yeah, Dreamsy now is now 2 seconds outside of Pecan, so Space Hero really affecting the race there between Pecan and Dreamsy.
As for onboard Sinister Alice, he's now within about half a second, just over half a second of Breezy as we head through the casino and now the hairpin section of the course.
Within a second, Breezy for Sinister Owls. As they go through the tunnel to try and see if he can help close that gap. Drivers are now on the further end of the lifespan of those medium compound tyres, so I would be looking at the next 3 laps that we will start seeing pit stops for drivers, as Monaco is a very aggressive track where it's hard to manage tyre lifespan.
Speaking of which, Koala is in the pits for presumably his final stop of the race.
Well, I don't know if Koala knew what he was doing with switching to another set of medium compounds, because he's actually put on an old set of compound C3 tyres with the medium, so he's actually gone from a 10-lap old medium compound to a 9-lap old medium compound, so really he's going to have to pit again to the either a hard or a soft compound because it looks as though he's got no mediums left, so unfortunate move there from Cuddly Koala. He's probably going to ruin his chances of points.
Unfortunate to see, but again, he's having a strong first race. It's just being unfamiliar with F1 and how the pitting sequence works, that can happen, so it'll be interesting to see how he does if he comes back for the rest of the championship.
As Pecan's about to do lap 15 on the C3, so he's actually doing quite well by getting tyre life along with Racer X. Flags being waved and set to 2. Doesn't look like there's anything to report. Again, it could just be another driver allowing to pass. Sinister still within a second there of Breezy. And Dreamsy is starting to close the gap that he did bring out on Pecan. Bit of a battle here for P5 between Drew Yu and Racer X. Racer X almost come up on the inside, but can he try and get something on the straight here? Defend, so Drew does defend his P5 position to Racer X.
Yeah, as we temporarily went on board there with Racer, you can see how that lunge at the top of the hill, it looks inviting, but that line just closes down as you get into the corner. So as a little bit of bumping through the hairpin as they stack up. As that actually let Drew Yu pull out a little bit of a gap.
So Breezy and Sinister cross the line for 15 laps left in this Monaco Grand Prix as they complete the front row. Peacon and Dreamsy back in P3 and 4. Drew Yu, Racer X, fighting for P5 at the moment. Dilsack comfortably in P7 along with Cone Dodger, who's comfortably P8, as really the rest of the drivers on the grid comfortably holding their position, as there's at least 10 seconds splitting between the differences, and it looks as though that Drew has hitted after 14 laps on his current compound, so Racer X takes off with P5.
Again, the question is, who's going to be the first to blink up front? As Dreamsy presumably will take a wing change, so his stop will take the longest, but as Sinister and Breezy are basically neck and neck right now, as, again, question answered as Breezy blinks first, so Breezy's going for the undercut as Sinister commits to the overcut. We'll see who can have better in and out laps.
Interesting from Breezy here, Dylan. He's chucking on the C2 soft compound.
Wow.
And he's also replaced his wing. So Breezy gonna try to see if he can get 14 laps out of this soft compound, pending that there's no safety car to go there, but interesting strategy there from Breezy.
Yeah, I can only presume that his strategy is, with the wing change, he's trying to build enough of a gap to put Sinister behind him when Sinister pits. He's trying to gain the time he lost with the wing change. And then once his tires fall off, he's hoping that he can hold off Sinister if Sinister puts on another C3 or even the C4 compounds.
Sinister still staying out, as is Peacon. They're really getting the life out of these medium tyres, as Peacon is choosing a 18 laps on these mediums. So Peacon could easily finish the race with a medium compound, potentially. Also do it with the softs.
Oh, as was following the battle for 11th between Imperial and Kill the Bird, as Kill the Bird clipped the left rear onto the wall as he turned in just a hair too early and came back, spun back out on track right in front of Dilsack, that was, running in a quiet 6th. Haven't heard much from him as he pits.
Peacon looking as though he might be having some traffic in front of him, with Cone Dodger a couple seconds in front, and Sinister has the clear straight track as he got past Cone Dodger, his teammate in the Ferrari. But again, nothing of real concern that's happened in this race. It's been clean all the way through as we approach lap 27. Clean racing.
Sinister does a, not Sinister, excuse me, Cone Dodger, Sinister's teammate, does a good job getting out of Peacon's way up the hill, as he does with Dreamsy.
Yep. Dreamsy.
So
Dreamsy trying to lock on to Peacon to see if he can take back his spot, but we remember that Dreamsy still has that little bit of damage to his left wing.
Yeah, you would think he would,
relatively okay.
You would think he would pit as soon as the pit window opened for the end of the race to try to get that damage off of there, running clean air with a one car at 100% to try to close the gap he lost with the wing change. But He's running to his own strategy.
Be interesting to see how many more laps Peacon can get out of this race, because he's about to go on to lap 20 if he decides to pit, as he does a real big turn. He does want to go for lap 20. Really pushing the limit of these tyres. As Sinister is also looking at lap 20 on these medium compounds.
One thing of note, Racer is on lap 20, about to go on to lap 21 of the medium compounds. He's running in a lonely 5th right now, about half a lap behind the leaders. But he's still managing to get good life out of these tires, as his teammate Breezy sets fastest lap of the race in 4th position.
Breezy did set a 12-1, which brings him for that extra point.
Speaking of Racer, he comes into the pits, as he would have been on 21 laps for the medium compound, so we'll see if Peacon follows suit.
As Racer X gets a wing change and goes to the softs, but he will lose that position to Drew Yu. Whether or not he can keep ahead of Dilsack will be the question there for Racer X, as Dilsack takes the straight. It's going to be tight. He loses, Dilsack wins. He'll take P6 off Racer X as he looks to finish the race on these soft compounds with 10 laps to go.
So with 10 laps to go, to do a quick rundown through the field, in the lead is Sinister Owl. The second place is Peacon, with Dreamsy in 3rd right behind. They still, all 3 of them, have to make their final pit stops. Dreamsy does have wing damage. Breezy has made his final stop, but is trying to go about 15 laps on the soft compound, which is a tall order. He has just set the fastest lap of the race about a lap and a half ago. Way back, almost a minute behind Breezy, 3/4 of a minute, is Drew Yu. Then Dilsack in 6th. Racer in 7th, not too far behind Dilsack. Cone in 8th, still needing to pit, and Impulse in 9th, and Koala in 10th. So that is your top 10 with 10 to go.
Sinister goes out again, as Peacon also goes out again. Really getting life out of these tyres. So Sinister and Peacon will be able to switch for the soft compound towards the end of the race, as you would assume they would not be able to last on these tyres to the end of the race. However, they're doing okay so far with the 10 laps to go. But to really get 30 laps out of a medium tyre would be incredible for both drivers.
As it looks like Dreamsy might have hit the wall again and lost the right side end plate. I heard the crowd sound like it cheered up, so I think at the top of the hill, Dreamsy. What? Need to get a better look of it, but yeah, Dreamsy has. He's missing about half of his front wing.
The suspension of his front wing is missing that part, so it does look like he may have hit the wall again.
Amazingly, even with that, almost his entire stint, he's had at least part of his wing missing. He's still able to stick with Peacon. His tires are 4 laps newer, but he'll have
any end plates for around 5 laps.
He does have
now.
4 laps newer tires, but you would think that the tire wear would be increased, but apparently not. Apparently the McLaren is very good on its tires.
Dilsack takes back the position from Drew Yu, as Drew Yu pitted for the new softs. Remember that part, Dylan, at the start of the race where I said there would be a 99% chance of a safety car?
Yep.
I feel like I'm eating my word. I did say, though, 99% chance, and I have been proven wrong, and I will be proven wrong again in the future. And I think today might be that day that I get proven wrong again. Because we're 31 laps in, we're almost towards the end of the race, and no safety car. Not even a VSC.
Yeah, I have to hand it to these drivers. While there have been a little bit of argy-bargy here and there, in general, it's been a very clean race for Monaco. So,
Peakon about to go up against Space Hero here, who looks like the driver that is not in his car. Peakon does get past him. So Space Hero, a bit of a cause for concern on the track at the moment. As Dreamsy is the next to try and see if he can get past, as he'll probably, most likely, prevent him from chasing down Peakon.
Tell you what, one thing to note that we have not touched on, Breezy has caught Dreamsy. He is right behind as they head through the hairpin, as Dreamsy's still stuck behind Space Hero. So Breezy has made these soft tires work. He only has 7 laps to go, and they're 7 laps old, so they're still this fast. Here's a dumb question. The top 3 wouldn't be trying to make it to the end, would they?
Well, it is a track that it can be difficult to overtake on, so they could possibly just be hoping that they defend their position all the way to the end. And at this stage of the race, with only 5 laps to go, as Breezy did almost try to get on the inside of Dreamsy there. But I wouldn't be entirely shocked. I would have said that about 10 laps ago, as we have 6 laps left now. But Peakon is known for doing really well with his tyre management, as is Sinister Owl. From memory, Peakon, I believe in the Chinese Grand Prix last year.
Breezy's in the wall.
Breezy looks like he does lose a part of his wing with that as well.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate, as it looks like he lost both of his end plates in one go. He turned in just a hair early at the top of the hill near the casino, and that just set him straight into the outside wall, as we see happen on a lot of the street circuits. You just turn in that fraction of a second too early, clip the inside barrier, and it just bounces you off. So, very unfortunate for Breezy, but we'll see what he can do, whether he pits for damage or not. One thing I might do, I might just do what Dreamsy does, as if Breezy's listening to the broadcast, he knows Dreamsy has as much front wing damage, and he pits. So, yeah, that damage is too much for Breezy. Yep.
Yeah. Breezy goes in the pit, so he will give up that spot.
And it's
P4, but
minute
Racer X ideally, I was going to say, actually, Racer X ideally cannot improve his position, so Breezy will keep his P4.
Safety car.
Safety car,
as
look
Death
out!
Wish.
Oh my goodness!
Come
Death
on,
Wish.
Finny, please.
Well, the safety car, this is going to make it interesting.
Wow.
This will be really
this changes
interesting for
everything.
We finally have something to talk about. I was going to say, look, I love racing, but man, this is really hard to commentate because nothing is really happening.
As I think Dilsack might have just lost part of his front wing heading through the tunnel. He did. Dilsack just overcooked heading into the tunnel under safety car. As I was flipping through trying to find where the safety car is, I saw him lose part of his front wing. As Koala has come into the pits for softs. Bird has come into the pits for softs.
Sinister and Peakon, will they pit or will they stay out? Because if I were Dreamsy, I would probably just stay out and see if I can finish the race. Depending, it's going to be really interesting to see who pits here.
I think I would pit.
Sinister stays out.
I would do what Sinister did if I was Peakon. Yep.
Stay out too.
He thought about it.
Peakon, he was wanting to, but I think as soon as he saw Sinister stay out, as Dreamsy does stay out. See, that's what I mean. I think at this stage of the race with only 4 laps to go, I don't think it's worth it to be pitting.
See, if I was Dreamsy, I probably would have pit. Because I honestly would have pushed under the safety car, and with Breezy stuck behind some lap cars taking their time, he might have been able to make it out before Breezy came by, so...
It's going to be interesting for Honos here too, because he is P11, however, he should be able to get past the other drivers.
As the queue is now starting to form.
It's such a tight circuit, that he might not be able to get past until the straights.
And that's very unfortunate for Breezy, as that they are teammates, so Honos might let Dreamsy by at the restart, but with that lap car in between, it'll be very difficult for Dreamsy to get by. And same with Breezy. Breezy has almost the entire field that's a lap down between him and Dreamsy, as Racer stays out. So does Dilsack with that wing damage. So we have 6 cars on the lead lap. Drew Yu is the first car lap down, as Impulse and Cone will line up side by side for position. As at the restart, the only 2 positions for battles for positions that we're gonna have is gonna be the battle for the lead and the battle for 8th.
Dylan, what's the possibility of finishing the race under safety car here? Because there's only 3 laps to go now, and there's still a fair distance for the other drivers to catch up. Could we see a finish under the safety car?
Well, the last car is about a full sector behind. Oh no, excuse me, I was wrong about that. They're about still half a lap. I think we're gonna have a green-white checkered to see who wins this race. I think it's going to go green on lap 38, and we're going to have a green-white checkered.
So it's going to be interesting because all the drivers that are at the front of the queue in terms of up there on the leaderboard all have old tyres bar Breezy. Now, I would usually say that Breezy is going to be able to attack, but in P11 we have Honos, who currently is 3rd in the queue and unable to get past the other drivers. So whether or not he's going to play a factor in the battles from Dreamsy and Breezy to try and get Pecan and Sinister at P1.
I would hope the lap cars realize the importance of the race around them and pull to the side once we go green. But if not, Breezy has to pass 7 cars in at most 3 laps as we're coming. The earliest we'll go green is lap 38, as the lights are still on the pace car, so 37 is going to be under yellow. So 7 cars in 2 laps, that's a very tall order. Even if the lap cars do pull to the side, 3 cars in 2 laps is no easy feat.
It does look as though Dilsack is the driver that we are waiting for to join the queue.
Yes, he's almost there now.
Last. Yes, he's almost there. So I would assume that this lap will be the last one before the pace car goes back into the pits.
Just a reminder that also the UDL League has the WEC race coming up later tonight, starting at about 8:30 or so, back here on the same channel.
That would be the first race of the season, isn't it, Dylan?
Yes, Prologue was a little bit disappointing with the action, as we had a few disconnects and not a full grid, as it was not a championship round. But yeah, first round is at Coda tonight, so that'll be a very interesting race with a couple of drivers in this field doing double duty tonight.
It seems as though Cuddly Koala just picked up a 5-second time penalty for an incident where he has probably collected another car under the safety car, so not uncommon that we see penalties given there as drivers struggle to try and find their
Lights
pace.
are out. No, they're not. My bad. At that distance, it looked like...
Just following the safety car now, but... Oh, and Dilsack gets a 5-second penalty. Lights are out. So the car will be in this lap. So it'll be up to Sinister to direct the pace of everybody else now, as he will take it slow through that last corner.
Pecan doesn't get the best run as we go back to green. Sinister gets a good jump over the rest of the field, as
as the drivers do go to the side as well for those issues that we thought could be a hassle.
Looked like a touch between Pecan and Sinister for the lead, as Breezy is now bearing down Dreamsy for third place with 2 laps to go. Pecan looking on the outside, heading into the hairpin.
Going to be a really interesting finish as we have 2 laps left. Flags being waved in yellows, and I think we're going to have another safety car here because it seems as though Honos has gone into the wall.
Yeah, he is moving, so...
He's moving,
for
yeah.
win
So,
only, Dylan,
my
please.
mistake, I did only see on the map that there was a driver off, so... Still racing, green flags. Imperial gets a 5-second time penalty for ignoring the blue flags there. But... we're about to enter the final lap here. Very close finish. Can Breezy do anything on Dreamsy?
Heading to the last lap.
That's it. Last lap as the white flag is now being raised. Pecan trying to get close in on the Sinister. Can he do anything? Going to be difficult.
Goes for that
he
low
gets an
percentage
inside
lunge.
touches.
And they touch.
Pecan
Oh, and he's gone.
spins! Pecan spins!
And Breezy gets by in the yellow flag, gets by Dreamsy.
Pecan! And he's struggling, and he's going to cause a collision!
Gets
Pecan
collected.
causes a collision! Pecan dangerously re-enters the track as the driver is approaching.
Yeah, that's a very difficult spot to get out of.
It is, and it's going to be interesting to see what the stewards do there, because from the view of the commentary box, it looks as though Pecan probably should have just stayed there where he was. But as we go back to the front of the leader pack, Sinister still in the lead, Breezy breathing down his neck as we go into these last final turns. Sinister will keep the lead at this stage. You would think he would keep
Breezy
the lead the
has
whole
DRS.
way, but can Breezy do anything?
Doesn't
This is going to
activate
be a
it.
finish.
Oh
This is going to be a
boy!
finish.
Wow!
Oh!
44
Wowzers.
1,000ths of a second as they crash heading into turn 1.
As they go crashing into the walls. But Sinister Owl is our Monaco Grand Prix champion, followed by Breezy and Dreamsy to round off the podium. Racer X will finish in P4,
Cinny.
and Pecan, very disappointed, finishing in P5. However, we will have to see if anything comes of that incident with Pecan re-entering the track.
Oh my god.
Dilsack in P6, followed by Drew in P7. Impulse 8, Code Dodger in P9, Kill the Birdman P10 will finish off the top 10. Dylan, that first 35 laps was good racing, clean, but the last 4 was the most entertaining.
Legend.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely amazing. With 1 lap to go, who would have thought Breezy would have finished so close to the lead, as he was still stuck behind Dreamsy heading on to the white flag. But great race. Sinister ran a flawless race. So,
And guess
congrats
what,
to him.
Guess what, Dylan? Sinister, redemption. Redemption from last year's fiascos. And he takes out the 25 points. And I believe Breezy did hold that extra point for the fastest lap.
Good
I'll just
racing,
confirm with the
guys.
stewards. He did, so as you can see there, Sinister Owl takes out the win, followed by Breezy and Dreamsy on the podium. Down to the rear of the grid, which I was not able to get to before, it seems as though Honos will be in P11, so he misses out on a vital point that can help him in the long-term championship. Imperial in P12,
Hell yeah,
currently Koala
Cinny.
in the 13th, with a couple of penalties there for Imperial and Koala. Space Hero, Deathwish and the Koala were DNFs due to instances, but good race. Good race. Could have been more carnage at the start, but the drivers were relatively good. Your thoughts, Dylan?
Yeah, very entertaining race again. This series has some of the best league racing I've seen. So, fantastic race. Props to all the drivers for a pretty clean race. Just a couple incidences towards the end, but all in all, very difficult track and very great racing.
And what I'm going to do, I'm going to see if we have any drivers available that want to do a quick interview. First, always confirm.
Pecan has
Rightio.
received an invite, so
we'll see if we can get word from Pecan there. But Breezy also did well. He pushed us to that line. I found that final drive, that final straight, very, very exciting. So Breezy, congrats on the P2 and congrats to Sinister on the win. And I believe we're off to Canada next weekend in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. But at this stage, I believe Pecan probably doesn't want to talk, so we might wrap it up. We don't want to kick a man while he is down.
So very understandable. He was in with a shot and not the result that he or anyone here wanted to see, but happens in racing, unfortunately.
That's it. It is the beauty of racing. I'll see if we have any commentary comments from the chat. A lot of the fan base is really happy with the way it ended then. People getting excited for Sinister Rail. Yeah, Dylan, overall, good race to start off with a bit of action towards the end there, but that is the joys of Monaco. So it turns out my prediction of a safety car did come through. It just did take 34 laps. But thanks to Dylan for helping out today, and
yeah, no problem.
To the league leaders for allowing us both to commentate as the WEC kicks off tonight for the UDL. But thank you for watching the broadcast today of the Monaco Grand Prix. We'll see you next time in Canada, Montreal. Good night.
Night.